I want to talk to you today about the difference between surviving and thriving. Because there's quite a dramatic difference, you know? If you're surviving, you know what that feels like, and if you're thriving. Most people, most human beings, actually end up spending most of their life just surviving, living a mediocre life. There are some that break through, hush, I'm calling your name, and live a thriving, spectacular life. So I have a question for you. Which one do you prefer? Do you want to go on and, survive mediocre, or you're up there for, I'm ready for spectacular, thriving? Now I'll give you a little disclaimer though as I say all that, because let's pretend we really do just have two choices. Survive or thrive. Mediocrity or spectacular. And let's say we all pick, I'll go with thrive. I'll go with spectacular. Now, does that mean that your life is going to be sunshiny every day, butterflies, unicorns, circuses? I'm here to tell you the disclaimer. No, it does not. It actually doesn't work that way, because the harvest is not the only season that there is. There's also the planting season, there's also the growing season, and there's the dormant season too, where things just, sit there quietly and slowly but surely start to grow again for the springtime. So, when I am talking about thriving, I'm talking about thriving in all of the seasons. Just not the harvest, but all of the seasons. Joyfully thriving. Now, I'll give you an example of this. I had, on Friday afternoon, after getting to meet Cherry, I had an excruciating migraine headache. In fact, I'm still having it a little bit. I feel a little foggy this morning. So my husband and I giggled a little bit this morning. He said, "You're going to teach people how to thrive?" And I said, yes, because you have to be able to thrive even through migraine headaches. That's what I'm talking about. So today's sermon is based on work by Rod Strikers. He believes that there are 4 pillars that we need in order to get into that thriving through all of the seasons, the good ones and the bad. So I want you to imagine yourself right now having just crash landed on an island, a tropical island, that looks pretty deserted. You have gone down, you're the only survivor on your cargo plane, your Cessna 140, and you're trying to get oriented as to what is happening, and you notice your plane is on fire. Then you have this moment of, all of my technology is burning up right now as I'm watching. Oh, and there are no flares. They're burning up right now as I'm watching. And then it hits you, and my water is burning up right now as I'm watching. So what happens is you start to get into that survival mentality. What is it? How am I going to survive? How am I going to make it? You start to look around. You see some trees with fruit on it. You see some berries with berries on it. And you think, okay, it's going to be okay. Because there's going to be food and there's some fluid and I'm going to be okay. But then it starts to rain, crash, lightning, thunder, and you think, I need to find some shelter. So you find yourself some space in the jungle and you hunker down while the storm goes on. And you sleep through the night and you wake up the next morning and guess what? You're still there, trapped on the island. Nobody has come and rescued you. And you think to yourself, wow, this could go on for some time. So you get into, how do I eat? How do I drink? How do I make it under these conditions? Day after day goes by. You might be getting a little depressed. You might be getting a little scared. You might be thinking, really, are they not coming? But then, one day you notice, way over there in the distance, there's a little plume of smoke. And you think, are there people on this island over there? And off you go, trekking, looking for the people. And you find not only some people, you find a whole village of people, friendly people that say, come on in. Let me give you some water from our watering system, our well system. Let us give you some food. Let us make you a feast. Let us give you a warm bed to sleep on. So my sermon today from Rod Strykig would say that you had suddenly moved from surviving into thriving. And he would say you would have done that because you've come across one of the 4 pillars, which is fellowship. You have bumped right into some fellows to get together with to help you. We need each other. I want you here at this fellowship to start bumping into each other. And so that we can start providing for each other that feeling of, I'm not alone, I'm right here, and you're right with me, and I'm so glad you're here. That fellowship is one of the foundational things we need in order to survive and thrive, beyond surviving, thrive in this world. I invite you to surround yourself with a circle of friends here, a circle of people who will support you positively. Because what we expose ourselves to actually determines a lot about our life. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the book Balcony People. It's a book from the 1980s. It was written by Joyce Landorf. And she talks about imagining yourself on the first floor of your house. And there's one floor to the basement and there's one floor to the balcony. You open the door to the basement and you hear these voices that say, what? Are you crazy? You can't do that. That's too hard. You're not smart enough, rich enough, pretty enough, whatever enough. And you close that door and you open the door to the balcony. And those voices are telling you, come on up. Yes, you can do that. Yeah, I would like your help. You are so bright. You are so creative. Yes, I want you in my life. I love who you are. We want to surround ourselves with balcony people. And we want to become balcony people. First pillar, fellowship. Fellowship, a circle of people that will support us. And build a community like Roxaboxen that goes on, and we can count on it. The second pillar we have for thriving is contentment. Now, contentment doesn't mean contentment by stuff. What Stryker is talking about is contentment beyond stuff. You know, we so often look outside of ourselves for circumstantial contentment. If I had a better car, if I had new clothes, if I had a boyfriend, if I had a new job, whatever, we're looking externally for contentment. What Stryker is talking about is internal contentment that is with you all the time. There's a part of you all the time that can connect to contentment. Usually we get there through prayer. We get there through meditation. We get there with yoga. We get there with Tai Chi. How we connect with the contentment that's always in our heart is to quiet our brain. So that's pillar number 2, being able to quiet your brain and get to this existential contentment that is there with you all the time. Psalm 46:11 tells us in the Bible, be still and know that I am God. And I think there's truth to that. That if we're quiet and we get our brains quiet, then we will be able to connect to something bigger than ourselves, an energy bigger than ourselves. Some people call that God. I would like to do it right here, right now, just a little bit with you. I ask you to close your eyes, and I'm going to take you through a very short little meditation. Close your eyes, and I want you to think about your face smiling. Doesn't have to smile, but I want you to think about it smiling. And then I want you to think about golden light pouring down from up above on top of you. Golden light going all over your body, making your whole body smile and be filled with joy. And that's it. Come back to the room. That's all it took. 1 minute, a minute and a half to connect you to something different than what is in our circumstance. To connect you to the joy that's inside of you all the time. That's the second pillar. Now, the third pillar of thriving is what Stryker calls resolution. So first we have fellowship, that we connect with each other. Second, we have our contentment, where we connect with higher energy and each other. And third, we have resolution. Resolution means decisions. That we actually take charge of what our brain is thinking. Because what we say yes to matters. What we say no to matters. And we certainly need to learn not to say yes when the answer is no. And not to say no when the answer is yes. I would like to do that. We're in charge of that. We have the ability, the resolution to be in charge of our brains. Now, there's a lot that goes on outside that interrupts our brain, that gets in the way of our brain. One example that came to mind to me, unintentional clutter, was going to the Astros game. Have you ever done that recently? Because at the Astros game nowadays, or the Rockets game, wherever you go, every minute is filled with some activity. There will be advertisements, there will be singing, there will be T-shirts being thrown at you, there are little children on the side running back and forth, racing. There are all kinds of things that are constant. The cheerleaders come out, Orbit comes out. It's one stimulation after the next, after the next, after the next. And we bounce back and forth to, this. For us, it seems unintentional. For the Astros, I'm sure it's very intentional, every single one of those marketing ploys. But for us, we get confused sometimes. And so the resolution, the pillar of resolution means I am going to be in charge of my brain. Instead of it just gets to run amok for whatever happens and react to it, no, I'm going to be in charge of my brain. And that means we have to be careful about what we're thinking. Riker suggests that you take 1 hour a day. I say 1 hour a week. Just try it. Where you clear your mind of any negative self-talks, any negative regret, any negative I should have, I'm not good enough, whatever. He said, for us to thrive, we have to get rid of that stuff that we're telling ourselves that, by the way, is not true. We have to get rid of that kind of saying, I'm not good enough, and change it with, hey, I don't believe that anymore. I'm good enough to be an imperfect human being, aren't you? I had to role model the imperfection of the human being. So, yeah, to really start thinking, I'm in charge of what's going on in my brain. Not you, not you, not you. I'm in charge of that. And to spend some time every week working on getting rid of the stuff that's not good for you. So far we've had fellowship. That's one of the pillars. And then we have had contentment with the higher energy. And then we've had resolution, which is a relationship with ourself, being able to be in charge of our brain. Finally, the last final pillar is what Stryker calls inquiry. Being willing to ask myself questions. Being willing to go inside for self-introspection. Now, I'm a psychotherapist, for those of you that don't know. And I remember one client I had that came here from a war-ravaged place in the Middle East. And when he got here, he was 21 years old. And he said to me, "You know the best thing about America?" I said, "No, what?" He said, "The space to self-reflect. Up until I came here, I never had that space. I was running for my life. I was stealing things. I was trying to get food. I did not have the space to go inside myself and figure out who I am. What do I stand for? Why am I on the planet?" That's part of what we have to do in order to thrive. Stryker said one of the main questions that we have to ask ourselves is, how can I suffer less? What am I doing to contribute to my own suffering? I'm going to say those in you terms to you. How can you suffer less? What do you need to do differently to suffer less? Is it how you're breathing? Is it how you're eating? Is it how you're drinking? Is it how you're procrastinating? What is it that causes suffering in your life? And that's the fourth pillar, inquiry. How can I suffer less? What would I have to do to make that happen? Really, he's talking about responsibility. So these are the things that I want for you, for every single one of you that's here today. I want fellowship for you. I want to know you more. I want you to participate more. I want you to get involved in our own Roxaboxen, our own community, to help people eat and live. I want that for you so that you will thrive. I also want for you that contentment that you feel when you get quiet in your soul. Be willing to take time to be quiet with yourself. Third, I want you to have that resolution that where you say to yourself, I am no longer going to say negative thoughts to myself. I am going to eliminate those, fire them, tell them to leave me alone because I am moving forward with all the talent that I've been given. We've each been given talent. Fourth one is inquiry. And that inquiry is to ask yourself questions. Who am I? What do I stand for? And how can I suffer less? I will tell you I want that for each of you. But there's a question even bigger than you. Here's the question. Why would we do that? Why do we work so hard to individually thrive? Because we are all connected. We are part of the world. And every time you get a little bit further along your own awakening to thrive, you heal the world just a little bit. You matter. I want to end today with words from Alaric Hutchinson from his book, Living Peace. We need to cease allowing the past to define us. We are evolving as a human race, particularly here in this fellowship. We are evolving as a faith. We are evolving. And just because war and aggression, aggressive competitiveness has always been a part of our heritage, that does not mean that we are forever destined to war and to engage in aggressive competition. We are moving toward a time when our heart will guide us. We once had to fight to survive. Some people still do, of course, but we do not. We do not have to fight only to survive anymore. We can go beyond that. Now it is time to lay down our weapons and open our hearts to the expansive potential of each human being with human compassion and creativity. Where our attention goes, energy flows. Do we continue to focus on opposition and give our energy away? Or do we begin to focus on our energy, on our own authentic self, our authentic freedom collectively to shine and help to illuminate the world? I'm telling you, the choice is ours. It's yours individually, whether you're going to work to thrive, and it's yours to work together in this community. A lyric says, "There are no mistakes. You are exactly where you need to be, and you were born with precisely the gifts that you need and that you can contribute and transform a dying world into a thriving planet." Blessed be and amen. Thank you. Remember, peace and freedom is our prayer. And we cannot get that without really pushing ourselves beyond mediocrity and into thriving. Go forth this week and really work on that connection to each other, to higher energy, to ourselves, and inquire, what is it that I can do differently to reduce my suffering and therefore be freer to help others reduce theirs? Blessed be and amen.